This Friday that just passed was highly anticipated for underground listeners since Che's third album, Rest in Bass, was supposed to release. After his first album, Closed Captions, was pretty solid, and his second album, Say So Says, really showed that he was one of the few underground rappers in this rage scene who wasn't afraid to experiment. Underground fans were overall just excited to see what he does on this project. Sadly, however, the album ended up getting delayed, mainly due to the backlash that came when his team finally revealed the album cover, which showed a girl completely naked with a cross covering her privates. And don't get it twisted, this isn't something completely left field for Che, as since Closed Captions back in 2023, he's had a certain aesthetic he's trying to portray with every album released. Rest in Bass was no different, and there was already some questionable photos that came out in preparation of this album, but I think the album cover in specific is just a simple case of taking those aesthetics too far. Despite the fact that we're living in a time where curated aesthetics are practically everything right now, especially in music, where if you're not portraying a certain image that can at least give people somewhat of an idea of what your music is like before even listening to it, they probably won't bother. I think everyone can agree this album cover kind of took that to the extreme and forgot about the very important marketability portion behind the music as well. Like, don't get me wrong, Che is one of the biggest underground artists right now, which means that while he does have a dedicated enough fan base that's always going to be tapped into what he's working on, he still relies heavily on things like promotion pages and streamers in particular to listen to the album and host listening parties and whatnot. But with this cover, that's just not possible since it's so provocative. And without those main sources of promotion that an artist on the come up like Che needs to really keep on pushing his name out there, like mentioned before, you're just choosing aesthetics over marketability, which is not a smart thing to do with where he is in his career at this moment. Nonetheless, it seems like him and his team realized this a tad too late, since the album ended up getting delayed to July, and someone from his team put out a statement basically saying this wasn't the official artwork, which on one end is probably the smartest thing to do in this situation, but on the other end kind of sucks because, again, a lot of people were looking forward to this album, and after the backlash hit, it was a confusing situation since a lot of people didn't know if the album was still going to drop or not. Then we got some false hope for a couple of hours because Che himself responded to 42 saying we're gonna hear from him tonight, but then it ended up just being him dropping some cryptic message on YouTube, and overall it just created a confusing environment around this album that could have easily been avoided if someone took a second to do some type of critical thinking. And I also heard that this was strictly for shock value and to gain traction, which I also don't get because a major hip hop news source was the one who displayed this information, and he also was the one who gave the date, and I'm sure he operates with a certain level of integrity to where he's not just snagging up information from anywhere. So he definitely got this information from someone in Che's camp. And again, this is Che we're talking about. He doesn't need any type of shock antics for the underground to tap into his albums or whenever he drops. Nonetheless, what's your thoughts on this album cover? Do you think people are overreacting, or do you just think this was just an overall stupid decision from Che and his team? And when in July do you think this album could be releasing, since we no longer have an official date? My name's Sam, and I hope you enjoyed.